elephants.
All righty, thank you.
First responders. Quaker Steak and Lube voted Best Wings USA.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Look for a mix of clouds and sunshine for the majority of the day, with temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. Going to fall back to about 49 for the overnight low. Under mostly cloudy skies and a few sprinkles around. Those sprinkles hold strong through the earlier part of your Friday. Otherwise, mostly cloudy and cooler with temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe and Brad Leonard behind the board in the producer's chair.
We are looking at 34 degrees. Temperature bumped up a little bit, not much. 34 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Clear skies now. Might see some more patchy fog coming in and out over the course of the morning this morning. We'll stay in the cool temperature range for a while, move up to close to 60 before the day is over and done with. And the good news is no rain today. Hold on to that thought, because that's about the only day you're going to hear me say that, no rain today. But it's going to be kind of a so-so day temperature-wise. Again, 34 right now at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 34 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 34 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Some things I want to get into today. Another major bridge repair project in Wheeling is going to start this month, and you will need to be prepared for some more tie-ups and delays in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. They talked about this couple of years ago. They're preparing to do it apparently beginning this month. The Highlands is arguably the most successful local economic development project in decades in our area, and yet its oversight agency, the Ohio County Development Board, is continuing to make personnel changes and a lot of revisions over the course of this year. That comes after some new members are elected to the county commission. So what does all of that mean? We'll get into that. Facebook Oversight Board allows continued suspension of Donald Trump, but tells the company to develop a more consistent plan. Governor Justice still committed to savings bonds as an incentive for vaccines, but is not sure how it's going to work out now. Montana offering return to work bonuses instead of expanded unemployment checks. And as Disneyland reopens, one critic says the Snow White Prince kiss is actually sexual assault because there is no consent given. All of this coming up. But first, I want to talk to our friend Stephen Allen Adams of the Ogden newspaper chain. I thought it was time to do a segment on how I spent my summer vacation. Well, not exactly that, but maybe how I spent a couple of days in Washington being a fly on the wall with Senator Manchin and Capito. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning. I'm actually leaving for my vacation this afternoon for the next 10 days. But I did sort of get a working vacation last week.
Quickly, are you going out of town or just hanging around? I don't want you to reveal your plans, but is it a staycation or is it a go-cation?
Just kind of what we did last June. We're just going to go down to Florida. We're just going to hit the beaches. We're Florida vacationers. We're not really touristy people or anything like that. So, we'll socially distance on a beach, or we'll stay at our condo, which has a pool, and socially distance there. But regardless, we're going to escape for 10 days and get some sun and get some sunburns and all that good stuff.
I have not done a beach vacation for quite a few years, and I really kind of miss that. I'd like to get back to the beach one of these days soon. So, Stephen, tell me about, this is an interesting couple of days you had this, I guess it was this past week, where you basically just were a fly on the wall with Senators Manchin and Capito. You were what we call shadowing them all throughout the day. How'd that come about, first of all? And I guess just a practical question, to what extent were you prohibited from doing anything?
Well, it came about as an idea in my own head just after the legislative session. I knew the talks were starting to kind of start to turn in Congress on infrastructure. And I kind of suspected what really is kind of obvious, that both our senators, Joe Manchin and Shelley Moore Capito, were going to be highly involved in the process, both from the nature of the committees that they serve on. They serve on two committees that do all this stuff. Manchin chairs one of those committees that deals with energy, and Capito is the ranking Republican member of a committee that deals with environment and public works. So as President Joe Biden was starting to talk about and put out his plan for the American Jobs Plan, his infrastructure package, I knew both of our senators were really in a historic moment. Obviously, when we think of the Senate and crafting things to help West Virginia, we think of the late Robert C. Byrd. And, of course, you can't help but think of Robert C. Byrd because his name's on everything. But to his credit, he was in a great position through his leadership roles to help bring much-needed projects and infrastructure back to West Virginia. And not since Robert C. Byrd have we had an opportunity here between the infrastructure package that the president and that Senate Republicans and that Joe Biden and Joe Manchin are working on, and Shelley Moore Capito. This is a huge opportunity for the state, no matter what really comes out of this process, because West Virginia is in such dire need of infrastructure projects all over. And not only that, but as if President Biden wants to do some of his efforts for clean energy and to transition us away from fossil fuels and meet its emission goals, West Virginia is going to be the hardest hit by that. So theoretically, West Virginia should be the largest beneficiary of these packages because we're going to be the most affected. So I wanted to be there and hang out with both of them and go through their day and talk to them specifically about developing these packages and these policies.
Well, let's talk about the hanging out part, because in terms of getting their opinions on infrastructure and how they're going to play it and so on, I mean, we've had them on this show and you interview them and, Hoppy Kercheval interviews them. And I mean, it's one thing to have Manchin or Capito and have them with us in an interview session, with you in an interview session, and ask some questions about the infrastructure bill, as an example. But you went beyond that. You were following them around on not just this issue, but really everything they were doing, right?
That's right. Kind of back to one of your first questions there. There was very little that they prevented me from doing. There are some things I couldn't flat out do, which is obviously I can't walk onto the Senate floor with them as they do their votes. But they took me right up to the door every time, both Manchin and Capito. So I was present when they did votes, and a lot of those votes last week were in regards to confirmations. For example, Janet McCabe was up for Deputy EPA Director. Both Manchin and Capito voted against that confirmation. I was with Manchin when he made his vote, mostly because she was the architect of the Clean Power Plan during the Obama years. So both of them just couldn't make that vote. So I would go with them to vote. I was with Manchin in his hideaway office down in the basement of the Capitol, where he was having meetings with the governor of Wyoming, who was earlier a witness during a committee meeting talking about the pause in coal mine and natural gas drilling permits on federal land. So and that conversation was off the record, so I can't talk about specifics of that, but I got to be present for that conversation, which was interesting. For example, Manchin had a couple constituents from Chester, of all places, that were in. And despite everything he was doing, going to meetings, going to votes, chairing committees, he took the time to specifically sit down with them and brought them in, invited them into the committee meeting to sit and watch what a committee meeting is like. I mean, on top of both of these senators doing these negotiations and chairing these huge committees that affect so much of what West Virginia is involved with, they took the time to talk to constituents, whether, Capito doing it over phone calls or face chat, or whether Manchin was, talking to staff about working a constituent issue. I was there for pretty much all of this to be able to witness this. And I learned really kind of firsthand, if you think our representatives are lazy in Charleston, that they're just getting a paycheck and they're going on TV and all this, trust me, they are both, I don't know how they do it, because they have long days. They are going from this meeting to this meeting to this event to this video call to this thing. And, I mean, they are working very hard down there, and I got to see how hard they're working.
I noticed in some pictures you had in your newspaper article, there was a picture of Manchin at his desk. It looked like he had a TV camera in front of him. I noticed him at a little side desk. It looked like maybe he was doing FaceTime or some sort of video chat with other people. Is a lot of the stuff being done video these days?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. In fact, Manchin was talking to the National Association of Community Bankers in that one video chat, and that was their virtual conference. Normally, obviously, they, like most of these organizations, they rent out a ballroom in a hotel someplace, in a big city. This time they did it virtually and had everyone participating, I presume, via Zoom. So, yeah, a lot of that stuff's happening. For example, not only that, but, Manchin, in that one photo you were talking about, was recording some video messages for students and groups back in West Virginia. Capito did the same thing, recording a little commencement message for students graduating from Southern West Virginia Community Technical College and things like that. So, for sure, the video part, especially being able to either live chat or even just record a video to send in, that's becoming more and more kind of a key part of communications between lawmakers and constituents. And I hate to say it, it may be that way going forward too, just because obviously of COVID, and in many ways it's easier to do that. I kind of hope, for the most part, once things open up more, and DC is actually still pretty tightly regulated, I'm kind of hoping that they still make time to have in-person conversations with constituents, and I imagine they will too.
Talking to Stephen Adams from the Ogden newspaper chain, who shadowed Senators Manchin and Capito last week and wrote some pieces about it in the local newspaper. Stephen, was there a difference in the style of how Manchin operates versus Capito? You followed them both around on a daily basis. You got to see them in their normal routine. Was there any difference in the style between the two of them?
Yeah, to some extent, I'd say that there was. I would say that Manchin is, in conversations with people that worked with him when he was governor, when I described Manchin's style, which was, he just bounced. He was literally a bouncing ball of energy. He would go between this meeting and this conversation and this event and this vote and not miss a beat. And stop for conversations, stop to talk with Capitol police officers. He was just nonstop. And kind of the hilarious thing about him too is the staff told me early on, and they were right, which is at some point the weather's nice, Joe Manchin has to get outside. So he's either taking the staff outside or he's just escaping to be outside. One of our walk and talk interviews was from his office, from a Senate office walking to the Capitol outside versus the underground system, because there's actually an underground little trolley system and walkway that connects all the various office buildings. So Manchin is very much just boundless energy going back and forth. Capito is, I don't want to say, maybe more reserved is a little bit, probably better phrase, because she very much is a little bit, I would say more thoughtful, and that doesn't mean Manchin's not being thoughtful, but that she's very much about keeping her head down and doing the work of the committees and the things that she has to do. In fact, the day I followed her around, she had a meeting with other ranking Republican committee members of Senate committees. There was a Republican lunch that they had with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell that last day as well. I didn't get to sit in on that, but she's going to all of these particular meetings and focusing very much on not only her committee work, but now she is one of the lead negotiators with the White House on infrastructure. So conversations were being had in regards to that. And of course, Wednesday when I was there was also the day that they did the joint address. President Biden did the joint address to Congress, which unfortunately due to social distancing rules and limited space, I was not able to participate in that in person. But a lot of that day was getting ready for that. So,
Do Manchin and Capito bump into each other or converse with each other much, at least during the time you were there?
No, they definitely kind of do their own thing. They obviously work very closely together. I mean, you get the same press releases I do. They send out a lot of joint press releases together. Mm-hmm. Just this week, I was with them yesterday, for example, while they're being part of the renaming ceremony for the New River Gorge National Park and Preserve in Fayette County, which was a really nice event. So they certainly work together very well. They're friends. I mean, the families go way back. The old story of Archmore helping out Joe's father way back in the day. So, I mean, they have a good relationship, but they are definitely different people and operate a little differently. And as a result of that, to be honest, there's not a whole lot of them really bumping into each other. It certainly didn't happen when I was there last Tuesday and Wednesday. They're just kind of in their own different spheres, so to speak, but their staffs obviously communicate together and coordinate and things of that nature.
Stephen, what about the building, the Capitol itself? Let me ask you two questions, first of all. First question is, was there any remnants of the insurrection visible there?
Let me tell you that, there's the people that run kind of the day-to-day in that building, the architect of the Capitol, his office, they need to be applauded, because I will tell you that unless somebody pointed something out to me, you would have never noticed that there was anything damaged in that building. I've been in the Capitol building several times over the last decade. It's one of my favorite buildings. I would go to the Capitol over the White House any day, well, unless I was invited to the White House. But I mean, as far as touring, I just love walking the Capitol building. And Manchin staff had showed me a couple places where there was art missing that had got damaged from the mob protest. But you wouldn't have noticed it unless it was pointed out to you. I had the benefit after I spent the day with Manchin that Tuesday of walking through the Capitol. With my press credential, it opens up a lot of places I can go. And I'm used to being in that building when there's a lot of tourists and people milling about. And you've got congressional staff walking back and forth between the chambers just right down the middle. It was always... it was a common thing. I was in the rotunda completely alone and completely by myself. I could have dropped a pin. You would have heard it. I mean, there was nobody else in there. I could walk all around the circumference of that rotunda and all those famous paintings and statues. I was in Statuary Hall, which is the old House of Representative chambers before they expanded the building. And again, in there all alone. It was really kind of neat. It was one of those circumstances where I'll never have this experience ever again. Most likely, I'm sure by this time next year it's going to be open back up. But at the same time, it kind of felt a little post-apocalyptic, like something out of I Am Legend, and it felt like I was the last human on Earth in this famous building. And it was a little off-putting that way. But yeah, I mean, the vibe of the building is certainly different for sure.
Was there visible security?
Soldiers. Say what?
Was there visible security?
Yes, very visible security. All friendly. A lot of Capitol Police officers. One of the things Manchin stopped to do is hug one of the ones he knew when he was walking by. There's certainly a lot lot of love there. And of course, I think it came out in one of the publications this weekend that Manchin had even said that he wanted to stay and fight the protesters, but obviously they got him out of there, which is probably the best thing. And a lot of National Guardsmen were members were still in the building for sure, stationed in the basement of several of the office buildings that connected the Capitol. All friendly, all happy to be doing their jobs, but I will tell you between Tuesday and Wednesday, of course, was again the day that President Biden gave his joint address to Congress. There was a marked difference between, and this is my OCD where I just noticed everything. Tuesday, they didn't have sidearms. Wednesday, they all had sidearms. They were definitely prepared, even though I don't think there was any indication anything was going to happen, but they were certainly prepared for that. I know West Virginia sent around 90, I think, Guards members from the state to help shore up security Wednesday. But I mean, they were all young and all doing various tasks and all super friendly when you talk to them. And there's a plaque in the Capitol building that commemorates when Union troops were quartered in the Capitol during the American Civil War. In some circumstances, using it as a makeshift hospital in some parts of the Capitol. I really hope they put a plaque up for the U.S. Capitol Police and Guards members that have taken part in keeping the Capitol safe January 6th and beyond to commemorate their service, because I mean they are worthy of it.
I've been to the Capitol a number of times. I've been there for the State of the Union several times, and the amount of security you see on a State of the Union night or a joint address night like you were there is just amazing. But there's still, I've told stories on the air before, I won't get into them now, but the security is very friendly even on those days. They just are also very intense on those days. At least has been my experience.
Yeah, that's my experience too. I've been to the Capitol several times. I've covered presidents. I've covered presidential candidates that have had Secret Service protection. And my experience of all these various events is, whether you're dealing with police, or law enforcement in general, whether you're dealing with National Guard or soldiers, or if you're dealing with the Secret Service, they're all friendly, but they all have a job to do. But
they're friendly until they're not. They're all friendly until they're not. Stephen, final question then. So 2 days, I think it was 2 days you were there. You follow Manchin, you follow Capitol, you see how they work, you get a little sense of what it's like, how busy they are, and so on. How does all of this inform your future reporting now?
Well, I will tell you that before, obviously, I'm the state government reporter for the entire chain of dailies in the state, and I tend to stay a little focused on state government, legislature, the governor, state office holders, things of that nature. And really, I kind of focused on congressional coverage, usually when the two kind of interlap a little bit. I'm actually taking it very much as trying to be more of a point person now on congressional coverage as well as my state government coverage. For example, like I said, I was with Senator Capito in Clendenin talking infrastructure needs. Clendenin's a little town that got ravaged by the 2016 floods in Kanawha County. Almost wiped off the map. And it's still very much, even with all the federal FEMA money that's gone in there and everything, they are still a dire need of infrastructure repairs and improvements. I was with Senators Manchin and Capito yesterday for the renaming of the New River Gorge National Park and Preserve. I have a story in the paper today on earmark requests. Congress, specifically the House, approved the use of earmarks and have them come back. And House Congressman David McKinley from the Northern District had a number of requests, and so did Carol Miller, 3rd District Congressman for Southern West Virginia. Of big note, Alex Mooney had none, and it doesn't seem like they're going to ask for anything. I guess the 2nd District doesn't have any needs. I live in the 2nd District, and I was just in Clendenin. I think they have a lot of needs, but that's, I guess the congressman knows best there. So I'm trying to cover more of these congressional stories, particularly as, again, the infrastructure package, I think, is going to be a big benefit for West Virginia. What happens with energy, specifically our fossil fuel industry, coal, natural gas, is going to be affected by what the Biden administration does and what congressional Democrats do on some of those bills. So, whether you think we need to make these changes or whether you want to protect the fossil fuel industry, those things are going to be of interest to both sides of that coin. So I just want to, it definitely made me respect more of the job that they have, and it's made me want to try to cover them more so people know what they're doing.
And will it? And having seen the way they operate, and having seen the busyness, that's a bad word to use, but having seen how active they are and how much they have to do in a given day, does that change the way you look at the job of those members of Congress?
Yeah, to some extent, for sure. Not just the members, but their staff. Because I certainly, over the last couple of days, interacted with their communications staff, met their legal counsels, met some of these staffers that work for Senators Capito and Manchin on their respective committees, and they are some of the hardest working staff. There's a lot of turnover to some extent. Kelly Moore in Capito's office as a communications director, she is the longest serving person I'm aware of that's been working for Capito for really about the last 8 years. So that's kind of an exception to the rule, but these people work really hard, and I can't blame them for the burnout. I talked to someone the other day, that has seen this stuff too, and just said, you couldn't pay me enough to do that job because it's nonstop, it's late hours or whatnot, but they're working for West Virginia. You may have different opinions about what they do altogether, but there's no doubt that they're all doing their best to help West Virginians, whether it's on the big issues like energy or infrastructure, or whether it's on small issues like a constituent need in a small town.
Well, Stephen, maybe you'll get to shadow Governor Justice one of these days. Of course, first of all, he has to actually let you into his press conference before he even lets you shadow him. But
I don't think that would take as long. I think that would take an hour or so.
Yeah. Plus, you'd have to take a ride to the Greenbrier, probably. All right, that's my comment, not yours. All right, Stephen, I appreciate your time this morning. Always appreciate the work that you do. Thanks very much. We'll look for you in the Intel and News Register. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Howard.
All right, talk to you soon. Stephen Allen Adams, Ogden newspaper reporter. I just thought it was interesting, a couple of days of shadowing, being a fly on the wall, if you will, for Manchin and Capito, and seeing how, and I've done this in the past, not formally, but informally. I've had friends over the years who have been congressional staffers, and I just hung out with them, and we've hung out with members of Congress and so on, and you do get a different perspective on the way the job works, seeing how they operate on a day-to-day basis. So I'm sure that Stephen's reporting will gain some additional depth simply by having seen the way these guys work. All right, got a couple of local stories I want to delve into, plus some Mother's Day talk coming up in a minute or two. It's 8:37, 23 before the top of the hour. Still looking at moved up a bit, 37 degrees now, and foggy at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 35 here at my home studios and at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now,
Pardon me.
Watchdog Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tune in and get with the program. I'm Bill DeFabio. Join me for the variety show on The Watchdog.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with Stain Shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to 50% depending on sheen selected. Platinum Plus keeps your walls looking new longer. Menards and Dutch Boy paint have you covered. Go ahead, live your life.
Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Savings or mail-in rebate. See store for details.
This is Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
It's Teacher Appreciation Week, and this year especially, I am so grateful for the wonderful educators who are serving Ohio's students every single day. Our teachers met the challenges of the pandemic head-on, adapting, innovating, and ensuring our kids could continue to learn and thrive. You deserve a huge round of applause and a thank you from us all.
Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Hello.
Darling, where are you?
Why, honey, I'm at my favorite store, Rule King. I'm getting my mom some flowers for Mother's Day.
Oh, good. Pick up my mama something special while you're there as well.
Friends, don't forget Mother's Day's coming up real soon, so get your mom something special from Rule King. Nobody beats their prices.
Get all the moms in your life something special, you hear?
Yes, dear.
Thank you.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Moundsville. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Moundsville trusts the Watchdog.
You can watch a video cast of our show every morning on Facebook Live or on our website. Plus, check archives of all of our videos on the Watchdog YouTube channel. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name.
8:47, 13 to the hour, 37 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. It's foggy. 37 here at my home studios and at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. A project that is definitely needed, that was announced a couple of years ago, is about to begin in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling sometime in the month of May, at least according to Wheeling Councilman Dave Palmer. And Biffy, this is just going to create all kinds of traffic trouble. Now, listen, I understand this is a project that needs to be done. I'm glad it's going to be done. I'm not complaining about the project. I'm not even complaining about the traffic delays. I'm just saying there are going to be significant traffic tie-ups and troubles. And there's going to be the potential for accidents as well. And particularly because this mixes in with the I-70 work that's already being done. Howard, what are you talking about? I know, I kind of jumped the gun there, didn't I? According to Dave Palmer, a Wheeling councilman, and yes, Dave, I want to quickly point out, as Dave says, he's just the messenger. This is not a city project. But Dave said, the city has been informed by the state of West Virginia that they will be closing the Hump Bridge in Elm Grove, that old historic bridge that goes from essentially downtown Elm Grove over the creek out to Monument Place. They will be closing the Hump Bridge in Elm Grove sometime around the end of May for renovation work. Please keep in mind, says Dave Palmer, this is a state project and not a city project. The city planned and executed paving of the detour routes on Junior Avenue and Lumber Avenue ahead of this closure. I post this to give you all advance notice. Your commute may take a few minutes longer. A few minutes? Oh, no. It's not going to be a few minutes. May take a few minutes longer than normal. I ask that you exercise patience and courtesy To your fellow drivers and pedestrians, much like I've seen for the most part in Fulton, there's always going to be an aggressive driver. Let's not be one of those. Give yourself some extra time. Let's all stay safe. Should you have any issues or concerns, contact the Department of Highways, District 6. That's a statement from Dave Palmer. Now, this is a project, Biffy, you might remember, had been announced a couple of years ago. And it was announced, I think, at the same time as the I-70 bridges work was just being announced and getting started. And Biff, you've come out this way a lot. You would agree with me that bridge does need repair and replacement. Not replacement, but it needs repair, right?
Yeah, it needs work done to it, yes.
And it's not, they're not going to tear it down because I've seen, oh my God, it is an historic bridge. It is one of the oldest bridges in the state and in the country. It's one of the oldest historic, arched bridges. So they're going to maintain its historical integrity. They're going to keep the bridge, but it requires significant maintenance because it's in bad repair. Man, if you drive over it right now and you don't know how to aim your car, it's like riding on a washboard. So they're going to work on that. It needs to be done. I'm glad they are. But essentially, it's going to mean that if you need to get from what I call downtown Elm Grove, if you need to get from downtown Elm Grove to the other side of Elm Grove, to the Monument Place, McDonald's section of Elm Grove, you're going to have to use either Lumber Avenue, which is the avenue that goes by DeCarlo's Pizza, behind the old Undo's building there, and travels out towards Pizza Hut and the shopping plaza, the Respect shopping plaza on that side of things. That's Lumber Avenue. Or Junior Avenue, which of course goes over the Junior Avenue Bridge and up the hill and dumps you out at the bottom of Bethlehem Hill. Now, that's fine if you're going to go up Bethlehem Hill, but if you are trying to get across the lanes of traffic there, that's going to be an unbelievably dangerous thing for people to do. It's bad enough as it is. And for people, more and more people to be using it's going to be difficult.
So let me ask you this one, Howard, because I go to church out there at St. Vincent's. So with the way things are now, I just go 29th Street, go up the hill, and go through Bethlehem and come down and go that way. That's how I get to church. And usually on the way home, I'll go across that bridge. So now, if I understand correctly, I'm probably going to have to use both ways now. So the same way I go Bethlehem and 29th is now going to be this, to get back to town, I'm going to have to go that way again as well.
Correct. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Yep. Because you cannot use that hump bridge. You cannot get over the creek, essentially, coming or going, as I understand it. So, yeah, you come down 29th Street and down Bridge Street there, you'll go back up the same way, you'll be fine. The other alternative route that the Department of Highways is recommending is that you use I-70, and they're even recommending if you're in Park View area of Elm Grove, they recommend you get on 70 and go west, then get off at Washington Avenue, turn back around and get back on and go east in order to get over the bridge. Now, it's not, it's a little bit awkward. That's not too bad. But in your case, Biff, getting back on 70 would be a difficult thing because that, I forget the exit numbers, or entrance numbers, but that entrance ramp to 70 that's right across from Pizza Hut, the entrance ramp to 70 West, that's a disaster.
It's a disaster. That's why when they worked on the first part of the bridge, when the tunnel was still, when you could actually go through and go down Grove, that was the way I would go. But on the way back from church, I would go up 29th Street to get into town. That was on the way back. Now it's the opposite. Now going to church, I take 29th Street, Bethlehem, and on the way back, it was going across the hump bridge and getting on. Now, that ain't going to happen. It's just going to be both ways. The way I go is going to be the way I'm going to have to get back to town.
Yeah, and you, I mean, listen, I have not used that entrance ramp to the I-70, the westbound entrance ramp there across from Pizza Hut. I haven't used it since they started doing this work. There have been accidents there. There's no traffic control there. They put up some stop signs, but trying to get into that lane of traffic coming down from the Highlands, which already is a bit awkward because you already got it split into two different lanes. It's a mess. So yeah, far and away, your best bet, Biffy, is just come in, and you can't, as you point out, you coming from the island, you can't come in on 70 because you can't get to 70 through the tunnels.
Right. So I'm already taking, and anytime I got to go out to the Grove, it's just easier to go, at least for me, 29th Street, Bethlehem, and come down that way. So. Right.
Which is a good alternate route. Take 29th Street or 470 if you want to get off there. But it's just going to get a real big traffic problem for the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. And I know Dave Palmer's going, oh no, stop complaining. Let's all be, let's all keep our patience. And I agree. Again, the work needs to be done. I'm glad it's being done. And if I remember correctly, when this was first announced a couple of years ago, it was going to be a year-long project. So you're going to look for that bridge, the hump bridge, to be closed for about a year, if not more. And yes, the city of Wheeling, I give them credit. They did do some paving work on Lumber Avenue and Junior Avenue to try to make those detour routes more passable. But it's still, those are not really heavy traffic roads. They're not made to be heavy traffic roads. And you're going to get all that traffic that normally goes over the hump bridge. Now going to have to go out Junior Avenue, which I think is very dangerous, or Lumber Avenue, which is going to become very, very crowded. So I call it to your attention. Dave Palmer called it to everybody's attention this week. Yes, Dave, I know you're just the messenger. It's not a city project. I understand that it's a state project. I said at the time this was announced a couple of years ago, can't they wait until after the first, till the I-70 work is done? Can't they wait till that's done and then do this? But I guess the answer apparently is no. They've already waited an extra year. It was supposed to start last year. And I assume because of COVID and everything else, they've pushed it back. But anyway, according to Dave Palmer, this is all going to get started not next week, but sometime this month, sometime before the end of May. The Hump Bridge in Elm Grove, the historic stone arch bridge that goes over Route 40 towards Monument Place, out to the McDonald's area, if you will, is going to be closed down. Think about this when the announcement comes, whenever they're going to close it, and even before that, right now, start thinking about your alternate routes if you're in Elm Grove. How are you going to get out? And for God's sake, you're going to need longer to get wherever you're going. It's just going to be as simple as that. You need longer. It's going to take longer to get through Elm Grove because of this. So I wanted to get that on the table here, and we may talk some more about it as time goes by. I'm not sure. See if I can get the Department of Highways to talk more about it. But we went into this in detail a couple of years ago when they first made the announcement, and then it kind of got put on the back burner. Now, coming up next hour, I want to talk a little bit about the Ohio County Commission and the Ohio County Development Authority. The commissioners replaced a couple more members of the Development Authority. One of them didn't even know it till the reporter called him. What is going on with this Ohio County Development Authority? This past year, there have been very strange things happening. Meetings called that nobody knew about. A contract was replaced without anybody knowing that the contract had been changed. Votes were taken that were illegal votes, and then they had to redo them again. Some members of the commission, the Development Authority, were replaced right after that, and now some more members are being replaced. Does it have to do with the change in the balance of power at the Ohio County Commission with the election of Zach Abraham to help out Don Nickerson as two Republicans against Randy Wharton? Where does Randy fit into this? I don't have an answer to that. But something isn't quite right. And I got a couple of texts already of people telling me that I'm the one who's not right. But I'll share my thoughts on this with you coming up in the next hour of the show. Plus, they're getting ready to vaccinate younger kids in Ohio County. The governor still wants to have savings bonds. And we'll talk about Mother's Day. All coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show. 9 o'clock as we head to ABC and they cover the world.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC News.